Welcome to another edition of AWS QUIZME with Quibski. So today we'll be taking on the Certified Developer Associate Edition. And so I don't have a guest today. Instead, I will try to answer the questions myself. Yes. And I'm wearing the AWS Hack Days t-shirt. So AWS Hack Days is our hackathon. So far, we've done it on 2018 and 2019, and let's be prepared maybe on 2020. We'll also have that now. So lately, I've noticed that there are a lot of people taking up the Certified Developer track, and instead of taking the Solutions Architect, there's now a growing demand for developer. So just to differentiate, Solutions Architect usually are on the infrastructure side. They're quite heavy on that. While for developer, you are mostly, your background is as a programmer, and so you want to just code or basically deploy your code into the cloud. And so that's why there's a lot of emphasis on serverless, also a lot of emphasis on CI/CD, and even user authentication in terms of customer users, not the IAM users, but actually the users of your actual application. All right, so let's now try and see if I will get the I'm Certified Developer Associate ready as well. Okay, so these are all random questions, and good luck to me. Okay, so let's start. Okay, first question. SNS message cannot be customized by protocol type. So SNS is the simple notification service of AWS. So it's a pub sub or publish subscribe model. So the recipient must subscribe. So the option here is maybe, true, it depends, and false. No? So while SNS, you can have multiple kinds of endpoints subscribe to a particular topic. It could be through email, through SMS, through even SQS as another queue, or other endpoints. So definitely, if you have different kinds of endpoints, then you must somehow be able to differentiate, or at least customize that message body per protocol type. So definitely our answer here is false, because you would want to customize the content based on the recipient. All right, so for example, in email, you might want to have HTML code, because our emails now receive HTML, but for SMS, you might want to be more text heavy. So my answer here is false. Let's see. Correct. Okay, thank you. No audience, so I'll just clap myself. Next question. When using Web Identity Federation to allow a user to access an AWS service such as an S3 bucket, which of the following is the correct order of steps? So here it's more about sequence. We're gonna use what's this? We're gonna use a third party, maybe like an OAuth or Auth0. I'm gonna read the options now. A user makes the assume role with Web Identity API call. The user is then redirected to Facebook to authenticate. Once authenticated, the user is given an ID token. The user is then granted temporary access to AWS platform. Okay, so this one, I'll park this for now. It seems like potentially this could be an answer I would take. So a user, we don't know how the user makes that assume role with Web Identity API call yet at this point, so let's park that. Second, users cannot use Facebook credentials to access the AWS platform. Okay, obviously here with Web Identity Federation, you can. So we can easily eliminate this option at this point. Next, a user authenticates with Facebook first. They are given an ID token by Facebook, which they can then trade for temporary security credentials. Okay, so from so if I was a user or application, I would click sign in with Facebook first, probably, and then obviously Facebook will be our identity provider. And so after that identity token has been received to us, then we can do something like with STS maybe, or could be like a service incognito where we can use that for temporary credentials. So I think this is also a valid answer. In fact, it's quite stronger for me versus the first one. Because the first one, we don't, basically the user is passed first before the Facebook. I think the third one makes more sense first. You call the Facebook first before you do the exchange. And then your last option here is a user logs into an AWS platform using their Facebook credentials. AWS authenticate with Facebook to check the credentials. Temporary security access is granted to AWS. Right, so quite similar in terms of step. So Facebook first, authenticate with Facebook, and then security access is granted to AWS. Okay, so how I would answer these kinds of questions first is, again, this is my style, not for everyone. So if I look at the first, third, and fourth, they're quite similar, and I see that the third and the fourth are more similar. So this gives me a stronger chance that it could be, the right answer could just be between 3 and 4, because the closer they are, I feel like there's more chances that you are pushed for that particular direction in this case. The fourth one, if I read the fourth one properly, it seems to me that AWS will try to pass the credentials, or like the username and password, to Facebook. And we know that this is not a general good practice. Basically, you're asking the same level of username and password to Facebook directly through AWS. So I would assume that you would want to capture the username and password in Facebook and not capture that username and password in AWS to pass to Facebook now. So I believe that my answer here would be the third option. User authenticates with Facebook first, and then given an ID token. Okay, and then I can trade that for temporary security credentials. So let's see if this is correct. Yes, correct. Thank you. So again, there, it was a very tricky question. So if that was wrong, I would be not devastated now, because the nitty-gritty details is sometimes quite hard, and so sometimes you have to do actual practice, or even look for the keywords if it makes sense or not. So I guess I was just lucky there. Next question. Which of the following attributes would make a good partition key? Warehouse location, size, product ID, and product type. Okay, so if I look at the options itself, the product type, product ID, size, and warehouse location seems to dwell on an actual one product. So these are attributes of a particular record or a particular document, and so anything with an ID is, for me, a strong candidate at this point. And naturally, I would go with product ID for my answer, because I feel like the document or the record pertains to a particular product or a particular catalog. Now, if we were talking about maybe product IDs, maybe this could have been simply like, if there was more towards the warehouse listing, then maybe the warehouse location would be a good partition key. But because, again, when I read the options, it feels like it's a particular product itself, no? Just one product. And so I would go with product ID. Let's see. Yes, correct. Great. Next, what is the HTTP code you would see once you successfully place a file in an S3 bucket? So keyword here is successful and HTTP code. So first option 200. Okay, so that's our very basic general success, 200. 404 is one of my favorite numbers here, 404. It means usually you'll see this in not found, error not found, or object not found, file not found. Okay, and then 312. Actually, 312 I'm not familiar, but usually I use the 300 series to redirect, like your 301, temporary. So I would say this is something like a network series of protocol. So I don't think it's successful. And then lastly, 524. Again, I'm not familiar, but the 500 series is usually a server-side error. I think it's also when you cannot. There's a processing error, like yes. So I'm not at the moment. I'm blank, but usually it's a server-side error, 500. And so my answer here would be 200, which is our normal HTTP code success. So again, S3 bucket or S3 is our object storage, virtually unlimited. Right, good. So up to the final question. In DynamoDB, which is our NoSQL serverless database, a scan operation is used for which of the following? Okay, so I'm using a scan. So since I'm using a scan, that means I'm not using a primary key. And so let's read the options. Return the entire contents of a table filtered on the primary key attribute. Okay, so I just mentioned that we are not using we're using scan, and so we're basically not using the primary key. Next, return the entire contents of a table. All right, this sounds quite strong to me, so this is an option for me. Second, find items in a table based on the sort key attribute. Find items in a table based on a sort key attribute. So again, this is also quite possible for me, because what are sort keys for? They're basically for you to easily look up the values. And then lastly, find items in a table based on the primary key attribute. So again, it number 1 and number 4 sounds same. So I can eliminate that because we're not using the primary key for scan. So it's now between my second option and third option. Now at this point, because there is no mention of a sort key usage, so I'm more inclined to pick the entire contents of the table. So basically go through the entire table without any filter or any sort at this point. And so I'll answer number 2, return the entire contents of a table. Let's see. All right, that's correct. Great. I am definitely a cloud developer associate ready. And so thank you guys so basically that's it for this episode. Very short, I hope. Now, in terms of progression, I think if you are asking, should I take SAA first, or do I proceed with Certified Developer? I would say, I think if you have AWS background, let's say for example, you are already a cloud practitioner certified, you can definitely go to Developer Associate immediately. No? But I still would recommend, if you're going for multiple knowledge in AWS, that you understand still the SAA concepts or architecting in AWS. So if you are able to invest in yourself, take the cloud practitioner first, and then solutions architect associate, and then maybe go to developer associate. And then afterwards, again, you can see that you already fulfilled 2 of the associate level. If you go to the professional, there's only 2. And so you have a good background. Now, if you want to go for the three associations, I would say Cloud Prac first, Solutions Architect, and then SysOps, especially if you have some hands-on knowledge already on SysOps, and then Developer. So why would I recommend SysOps first? Is basically with SysOps, with architecting, you're designing the infrastructure. SysOps, you would be running that infrastructure. Okay, so you would be doing some copies, maybe some more actual cloud formation, and then basically afterwards, you'll have some CI/CD as a developer. Right, so that's my advice for you guys if you want to take the trifecta or three associations. So thank you once more for everyone that has looked and liked and subscribed to our channel. I hope that we all are AWS or cloud ready for our careers. Okay, thank you and goodbye everyone. Bye. No guest today. Yes. Thank you also to education.ph for all your support. Thank you. Bye.